Lemon mousse is one of my favorite desserts. Unfortunately, it's one of Frank's too. So I'm gonna make Frank and Steven. And now I'm gonna make the base of the lemon mousse. So the first thing I need is 3 whole eggs. And then I'm gonna separate 3 eggs. I'm gonna put the yolks in the base and whip the egg whites to make it nice and light and fluffy. Okay, next I need a cup of sugar. And lots of lemon zest, 2 teaspoons. Half a cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. I'm just gonna whisk it all together. A little salt. And I'm gonna put this over a double boiler and just cook it until it thickens. So the first thing I need is half of the egg whites, 2 tablespoons of sugar, just to sweeten it a little bit, pinch of salt, and just whip those on high. I'm gonna get the cream and I'm gonna get the base for my lemon mousse. Just done. So I'm just gonna take this plastic wrap off the base. So you make a really thick custard and then you lighten it by folding in egg whites and whipped cream. And that's how you make a mousse. And this is the thing about folding, is you just want to put it on top and then fold it in slowly. You want to do nothing that will deflate the egg whites. Put the spatula down in the middle and then just fold it over really carefully. You can really smell the lemon zest in this. So now I'm going to whip some cream, make it even lighter. Hard to imagine cream is light. Okay, 1 cup of cream. And you can just do it in the same bowl. So I've whipped the cream. I'm just going to pour it on top and fold it in. This is so many layers of things, but the good news is you can make it in advance and let it sit in the refrigerator for a long time. Just want to fold it in really carefully, just like the egg whites. Make sure you don't deflate them. Okay, and then I'm going to give it extra special flavor. I'm going to put in half a cup of lemon curd. Gives it a real lemon bite. It's about half a jar. And then fold that in. Again, carefully, but not too much. But this is really good. So good. So lemony. You can really taste the zest and the lemon curd, and yet it's really still very light. So you can really do a lemon mousse just like this, but I'm gonna make it extra special and decorate it with cream and lemon slices.
I'm gonna grill up some biscuits. I'm gonna grill some peaches and make a like a parfait, like a sundae. We need sugar too for our compote, just a little bit. And then I saw these.
Oh, nice little
Look at that! It's like okay.
All
I'm gonna
come
squeeze
together, Jeff.
Lemon going in here.
So lemon to the blueberries. You gonna put a little sugar in there too?
I gotta get those seeds out. See, now I feel for these chefs.
It's a compote. It's rustic. There's seeds once in a while, right?
He's working fast.
Totally.
You know, I never gave him a time limit, but we are towards the end of the show.
I just want these to keep some of their vibrance, but also break down a little bit, almost like just a quick compote.
Quick. But your grilled item there. You better get going, Jeff.
All right. Stop being so mean to me.
We're enjoying this a little too much.
This is really great. Anybody got any popcorn?
Careful, don't cut yourself, Jeff.
No, this is when you just very careful when you got the knife out. Oh, beautiful summer peach here. Just gonna hit it with a little, just a little olive oil to get it going. Watch it.
Good.
Boom.
Oh, kissing peaches.
How much time is left, Katie? Like 40 seconds or something?
30 seconds on the clock.
I believe I have a half hour per the instructions and the rules of
You get
kitchen
nothing.
Now, Jeff, I feel like I'm starting to see a little bit of your wife Sarah's family influence here. You got biscuits, peaches.
Yep.
So a little southern. They hail from Kentucky.
Exactly. So I'm Southern biscuit aficionado by proxy.
Yeah, you're southern adjacent.
pinch of salt.
All right, Jeff, which one of our houses would you want to crash?
Oh, it's obvious.
You know what? Not just because he said that, and I know he's shooting lasers with his eyes at me right now, but it would probably have to be Alex's.
Ah!
My house is like a restaurant.
It is. Look at that. That's all I wanted. Some nice smoky char on there. Then we're gonna crumble these guys up so it's easier to spoon. Look at that. My peaches. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that, Jeffers. Man, you love when I am just slaying it, and that's what I'm doing right now because I'm, you know, the Kitchen Crash King now. Kitchen Crash King.
This is kind of like a shortcake sundae.
It is. Okay. Boom. Bloobs. Peach. Bisque. Scream. We got it all. Whew. Let's build. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna crumble
15
some biscuits.
seconds on the clock.
Oh, come on, stop it, Katie. Enough of that. We're all friends here. Just a little bit on the bottom. So you get some of that smoky summertime cookout char
yeah.
we're looking for in all our dishes today. Warm, I would just a little bit. Look at how quick I did that RTC, guys, real-time compote.
What is that?
Real-time compote. And of course, those peaches that I'm gonna actually slice very thin. Who doesn't love peaches in the
The
summertime?
best, especially with blueberries.
Yeah.
And you said that's maple ice cream, right?
That is maple ice cream,
What a
Katie.
good combo. Yeah, don't be stingy with that ice cream.
I feel very I'm shaking, guys. Can you tell?
Katie is a tough judge. I like
really
this
good.
commentary.
Now another layer of the RTC. Real-time compote.
Don't forget that whipped cream.
Oh, yeah.
Just au naturel. How about that?
It's the best.
Au naturel.
It's the best.
But we are not done yet. I want my vertical upcycle garden. Beautiful upcycled mint as a garnish that I planted a couple weeks ago.
The gift that keeps
And then
on
I saw
giving.
this. Don't kill me now. Just to make it a showstopper here. And that is a sparkler kitchen crack.
Happy birthday.
It's like being in the club, right?
Wow.
Nervous.
It's like a bottle of vodka, but it's not.
It's even better.
I
Yep,
love
it's
that.
Really beautiful.
Really pretty. Look at you. So fancy.
Hey,
All right, I'm
what's
going to
that
dig in
there?
here all
What do
the
you
way to
think?
the bottom.
It was
Get
all fun
all
and
the
games
layers.
till Jeff burned the kitchen down.
Hey, at least we went out with a bang.
You know what's really good? The maple with the blueberries kind of wakes up the summer fruit.
Oh.
And I like the cream on top.
So I'm making ice cream sandwiches. It's a lemon sugar cookie with vanilla ice cream and lemon curd. And then we're gonna roll it in sprinkles to make it even prettier. And I didn't wanna do any old plain ice cream sandwich because I think that the menu is gonna reflect Auntie C's personality. Bright, fun, lovable, and it'd be an ice cream sandwich. Isn't that cool? So instead of just trying to make a perfect circle for the ice cream sandwich, it is much easier to take a sheet pan like this and add vanilla ice cream. You smooth it on out, you freeze it. Once it comes out of the freezer, I wanna use a cookie cutter to make little circles so I can have perfect circles for the ice cream sandwich. Pop this in the freezer and keep it in there until it's frozen and extra firm because we need to work with it. Grab my stuff for my cookies, got some flour, baking soda, baking powder. I'm making a simple sugar cookie recipe, but I'm gonna add that lemon flavor. I'm using 3 cups of all-purpose flour, adding a ½ teaspoon of cornstarch to this. The cornstarch helps the cookie get super soft. 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, that's that leavener, ½ teaspoon of baking powder, and a ½ teaspoon of sea salt. Whisk that on up. All right, I'm gonna set this to the side. Now for the wet. I'm using 2 sticks of unsalted butter, 1½ cups granulated sugar. Cream this together until it gets light, airy, and fluffy. I'm gonna add 1 egg. All right, that's good. 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. It's definitely gonna be lemony, so gonna give you that little pop. All right. Also gonna use the juice of this lemon, which is like about a tablespoon. And I'm gonna also use a teaspoon of lemon extract. Sometimes the lemon flavor can bake off. Lemon extract will ensure you're gonna taste lemon flavor in these cookies. So that looks good. A little bit of my dry mixture at a time. All right, that's good. I'm gonna add the rest. Looks perfect. Let me grab my baking sheets. I've lined them with parchment paper, and I'm using a cookie scooper to make sure that I get even cookies. So I've got some coarse sugar here. I'm gonna roll each ball into the sugar. It's a sugar cookie. Look how pretty that's gonna be when it comes out. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna use this glass to flatten it out. I'm gonna make sure your cookie doesn't dome. Dome basically means puff up. I'm gonna bake these at 350 for about 15 to 18 minutes. One on the top, one on the bottom. All right. So my ice cream is nice and firm now. I'm gonna use a cookie cutter to cut out perfect circles. This is why it's important to make sure your ice cream is nice and frozen so you'll be able to do this and get it out. Let me grab my cookies. I'm taking one of my sugar cookies, put it on like that, get the lemon curd, and just sandwich that. Look at that. Don't skimp on the curd. I picked yellow sprinkles because, I mean, it is a lemon ice cream sandwich.
So, chocolate mousse. So I'm gonna start by making chocolate curls to put on top of the finished mousse. So I'm making some kind of marbled chocolate curls. So I have some white chocolate that I melted with some coconut oil and some darker chocolate, semi-sweet, that I also melted with coconut oil. And that just kind of helps keep it nice and smooth. And then when you go to make the curls, it actually curls instead of breaks. At least I hope that's what happens. So I drizzled on both colors of chocolate, and I'm just gonna use a spatula to spread it into a thin layer. Okay, so Alex, if you'll look and see, you can kind of see a hint of the marbling underneath. But what I need to do now is stick this in the freezer, so come back around.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put the chocolate for the curls into the freezer. Okay, so while that chills just for a couple of minutes, I'm going to whip some cream, heavy cream, in a bowl, and I'll start kind of slow. And while I whip it, I'm just gonna sweeten it by adding some regular sugar. You can use powdered sugar. You can use agave syrup if you're into that kind of thing. All right, I'm gonna whip this cream until stiff peaks start to form. All right, let's take a look. I think that whipped cream looks great. So let's take a look. You ready? Mm-hmm. So you want to get sort of a sharp instrument, whether it's a bench scraper or a spatula. Basically, you want to scrape, and then the curls should happen sort of naturally. And of course, we're not talking about smooth, beautiful curls, but look at that. You can see sort of the little marble quality. And try another one. And you can do long, so look at this, Alex. Here's where it's gonna really start to kind of cooperate. See? And they're just little cute curls. And the great thing about these is if you're having like a dinner party, you can make them ahead of time. So I'm gonna keep going until I get all of this chocolate curled. All right, finished them up. That's the last batch. See, you know what Socrates always said?
No.
No two chocolate curls are exactly alike.
Wow. I don't think you ever said that.
Profound. I'm gonna pop this plate in the freezer so these don't soften. I'll be right back. Now I'm actually gonna make the chocolate mousse. So I've got some egg yolks and I'm gonna add some vanilla. And then I'm gonna beat the yolks. Okay, this is all mixed together. So now I've got a mixture of semi-sweet chocolate and butter that I've had on a double boiler. And that double boiler has done its work. So I'm gonna temper the egg yolks. by just adding a little bit of the hot chocolate butter mixture and whisking it. And this, of course, just brings the egg yolks to temperature. And so then when I add it into the rest of the chocolate, it doesn't turn into scrambled egg chocolate, which never ever sounds good. So here we go. And I always do it slowly and just stir the whole time. Okay, so look at this, Alex. Got that all stirred together? Looks great. Ooh, that bowl is hot. So now I'm gonna take about 3/4 of this whipped cream and fold it in. Now you can't rush the folding process at all. You need to take your sweet time and just do it gradually. So give me probably about 2 minutes and this will all be ready to go. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. And then I'm gonna doctor up the whipped cream just a little bit that I'm gonna put on top of the chocolate mousse. And I don't wanna totally mix this. I want it to be marbled. You're tempted to keep mixing, but you wanna stop when it just starts to marble. Okay, so now it's time to serve. I'm just gonna build one. You fill up the cup, and then you get the whipped cream with all the marbled, beautiful raspberry jam. I never said what I put in the whipped cream, did I? No, you didn't. Okay, and look at that. Oh, now I'm gonna get the other 3 built just like this one. All right, they're all assembled. The only thing missing are the chocolate curls. Okay, so the chocolate curls go on. You can save the curls. I like to get them really like jagged and shardy. Look at this, Alex. What do you think?
These are gorgeous.
Mille-Feuille, which means a million layers, with vanilla pastry cream and a bourbon sauce. First of all, Jeff, I want you to crack those eggs, give me the yolks only.
Understood.
Mix a slurry of cornstarch and a little salt in that bowl.
A little salt, little starch. You
Check.
got it, Holmes.
Okay, first of all, we have to make our mille-feuille. Let's go in the fridge. I have these cut out already. I always make extra because there is a tendency to burn one or eat one because they're so good. It's like bacon, right? You're gonna have one of these while they come out. So you wanna make a couple extra, a couple of testers. Puff pastry bought, store-bought, laid out, rolled, cut into perfect little squares. Rectangle.
Gorgeous.
That's a rectangle, right?
Same dough I use.
Butter, melted on top. I mean, it's all butter anyway, so any more butter doesn't really matter at this point. I'm just gonna messily dab it on there, and then I'm gonna go back, and I am going to throw a little sugar on top. We're just gonna top this with sugar.
I got that. I got
And we're
that.
gonna use a little restaurant secret. Alex, you'll recognize this restaurant secret from the restaurants that you own. We are gonna put a sheet pan on top of the sheet pan.
Double sheets.
Double sheet, so it puffs up, stays flat, and we'll get an even sort of ledge to put our delicious pastry cream on top, okay? Just like that. 400-degree preheated oven, 20 minutes, 20. Rotate it halfway through. All right, you're doing a great job there. We're gonna make our pastry cream. In this, I have milk, sugar, vanilla bean, and can you see all the vanilla I have in there? This is a real vanilla bean.
Luxury.
Wow. Touch of salt, because you always need salt. And we're getting this hot, but it's not boiling, and we're gonna temper it. You put that right here, young man. You've done a great job. You can take a break, maybe go play some pinochle with yourself. Okay. We're gonna take a little of this. Will you put the whisk back in there and help me?
Yes.
All right.
He just gave you the time off. And
I mean, I'm
now
getting
you're
very
back.
conflicted.
Hot, come on, stir.
Yeah, okay.
Hot liquid, tempering. We're bringing both temperatures of incongruently tempered ingredients to the same temp. So we've tempered it. That means we've brought the eggs to a point where they're not gonna scramble, so we can add them into our
Here we
gorgeous
go.
milk, salt, sugar, vanilla bath.
What a pour.
Look at that pour.
Your
That-
talents are wasted on pinochle.
It's a
I know.
Chicago guy. A New York guy can't do that.
No,
Chicago
they
guy.
can't. No, they can't do much.
Okay, so we're gonna stir and whip and stir and make sure this does not boil.
Boil.
But it's gonna get
thick.
but you don't want it to be too.
Runny.
Yes, perfect. We do flow, heat flow, off, on, off, on.
Off, on.
Don't want
You
this
control
burning.
it.
You see that?
Rather than turning off the knob on that,
You don't want it. It's a waste of time to
Move it
turn off
away.
the knob. You're gassing, ungassing, gassing, ungassing.
Jeffrey is on fire right
He's
now.
on fire. I'm almost
This is so
afraid.
exciting.
Yeah, 'cause
So exciting.
And this is a classic dessert, which is what I love.
Oh,
Except
I
for
told
the,
you,
the
I
quart
said-
of bourbon, it's a classic.
You're gonna love it. So, put some butter in, please.
Right in here?
Whisk it in.
In this?
Yes, go.
Okay, go.
Why are we adding butter to 5 pounds
Great
of
question.
milk and butter and cream?
Great question, because there's so much butter in the dish. We'll just add some more. No, we're adding butter for luxury. Pan,
We're melted, Coach.
bourbon, all of it. Oh, high heat. Woo. Sugar. Vanilla bean, a real vanilla bean. This is a real
we
vanilla
doing?
bean.
Are we gonna split this
I'm gonna
baby
show you this
open
how to do
here?
this. Now,
Let's
this is
see
a bit, sort of a small one. I'm gonna open it up with a knife on its side. Be careful. Make sure the knife is sharp. Just want to go in and then down and then sideways, like that. Can you see that?
What about the old split method? You find this?
I like this better because then I'm going to scrape and throw. Scrape and throw.
Scrape and
Scrape
throw.
and throw. I'm going to save the husk, if I wasn't throwing it in this, for sugar. Look at that right there.
Does
Can you see
anything
that?
smell better than
No.
fresh vanilla pod split open?
In,
good.
Nothing.
in, flip,
By the way,
next
you
side.
can make a great extract from soaking the pods in bourbon.
Truth.
Again, look how we get off that. It's all the caviar. So I have it off. I didn't have to do that, but I want to do that because I want to get every single ounce of flavor. Everything's in here. We're going to boil it down about half reduced, nice and syrupy. Take the pot out when it cools. Next step, would you please, in the box, get that lovely pastry cream that you so effortlessly helped me make.
In the ice box.
In the ice box, we've chilled that out, so it's going to get like a little pudding.
Oh, man,
Little
I can
pudding.
eat that with a spoon.
Now, I wanted to show you, everybody at home.
That is...
Look at that. That's bourbon and the vanilla and the sugar.
Wow, super reduced.
I'm just gonna put a
you're-
touch of fresh bourbon back in at the end,
From whence it came.
whence it came. Okay, that's good. Okay, we have our Mille-Feuille out. It's cooled. Look how caramelized that looks, how beautiful. Now,
Beautiful.
you can go 2-layer, 3-layer. We're gonna put a little glue on the plate.
Ah, stable base.
Stable base. Layer 1.
Look at that. I mean, that is like...
Just like that. Now, we don't want to spread it because the raspberries need a place to hang out.
You need a little more glue, I would.
You don't have to, but you know, well, that's why not. It is 3 layers, though, because you've deemed it 3 layers.
I did. I called the shots.
Okay,
Yep.
like that.
One more.
One more. Oh,
Mille-Feuille.
Mille-Feuille.
Feuille.
This is a great presentation dessert.
I like when you look at it and you see the vanilla bean in there. It's like it kind of gets you ready to go. Oh, he's gonna give it some curb appeal.
Uh-oh. Controversial.
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is so pretty.
Okay.
Oh
want a
yeah,
little
there's
sauce?
more. Ooh.
Oh, round the horn.
Round, not on top,
Not on top.
but
So
a
dramatic.
liberal amount of this sauce, because the sauce is magic.
Wow.
Okay.
Can I put this whole bite, really?
We believe in you. Nice methodology.
wow.
Look at that. She went top down.
You know, first the pastry cream and the puff pastry are perfect together, but then you get these juicy raspberries, breaking them up. Geoffrey, this is unbelievable.
Oh.
So much vanilla in here, and just the right amount of sugar everywhere.
I'm making a rustic strawberry tart. And aside from it being very quick and easy, it happens to be a total knockout. I'm starting by having some strawberries. I hulled them, just took the tops off, and I'm throwing them into a bowl, and I'm going to make a delicious strawberry filling for the tart. I'll start with half a cup of sugar. You gotta have sugary strawberries, I don't care what the dessert is. And I'll add a couple of tablespoons of flour, and that keeps the sugary strawberries from getting too liquidy in the oven. The flour kind of thickens them up a little bit. Now, whenever I make any sort of filling for a pie or a tart, I definitely like to add lemon zest and lemon juice, whether it's apple filling, blueberry filling, or strawberry. So I'm just zesting about half of this lemon, and then I'll squeeze in just a little bit of the lemon juice, about a teaspoon. Ooh, that's a juicy lemon. And then just a splash of vanilla. probably about a teaspoon or so. And I'll stir this around. A lot of times when I make strawberry desserts, I'll make the pie filling or the tart shell, and I'll fill it with fresh strawberries that aren't baked. And that's delicious too, but there is something about this rustic tart. The color of the strawberries after they bake is so pretty. Okay, the strawberries are totally coated in the sugar and flour mixture. So I'm gonna let those sit, and I'm gonna get to work on the crust for the tart. I'm gonna flour the board, and here is part of what makes this a quick and easy tart. I'm using store-bought pie crust. So what I did was overlap one crust over the other, about halfway through the middle. And I'm gonna roll this out just a bit to make it a little bit bigger, and also to make sure these two crusts become one. I want them to really stick together. Okay, that looks great. Now just for the shape, I'm gonna cut this a little bit so it'll be sure to fit the sheet pan that I'm baking the tart on. So to transfer this over to the sheet pan, get my rolling pin again, I probably could lift that in one piece and keep it together, but I don't wanna take a risk on such a wonderful dessert. Okay, now I'm gonna spoon the strawberries onto the crust, leaving a border around the edge, and then I'll fold up the edges and brush them with an egg wash. Now I'm gonna put it into a 400-degree oven and bake it for 30 minutes, rotating the pan halfway through. The tart is ready. I know this because it smells amazing. Ooh, my gosh, it's so pretty. The crust is so golden. It has a little sheen from the egg wash. Now the strawberries look beautiful, but I'm about to make them a little bit prettier by glossing them up a little bit. And I like to use apricot preserves for that. I actually put some apricot preserves in a saucepan and warmed it up with just a splash of water, and it creates this beautiful glossy surface on these strawberries. Oh, it looks great. Now I whipped some cream, just a cup of heavy cream with a teaspoon of sugar, and I've got a pretty platter to put it on once it cools. It is gorgeous and glossy, so elegant, but so rustic. Just the thing for an outdoor party.
Summer pudding is basically layers of bread and usually berries, but I kind of want to ramp up the flavor. So I'm going to use French brioche loaf and a mixture of cooked berries and peaches. They'll be really great together. So this is the brioche. It's an egg bread. It's kind of rich. It could be challah. It's the same kind of thing. And I've cut it in half-inch thick slices after I cut the crust off. And this is the peaches and berries all cooked together. It's just gorgeous. I'll show you how I made it. I put a pint of hulled and sliced strawberries into a pan with 1½ cups of sugar, 1/4 cup of water, and cooked them over medium-low heat. After 5 minutes, I added 2 half pints of fresh raspberries, 2 half pints of fresh blueberries, a pound of peeled peaches cut in half-inch dice. I brought everything to a simmer, then I cooked it for another minute, turned off the heat, stirred in another half pint of raspberries. I added them now to keep them whole. And finally, 2 tablespoons of framboise, which is raspberry liqueur. So, big spoon of fruit and the juices too. It's really important because that gets into the bread. In the bottom, and then a layer of bread. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the bread so that it fits perfectly in one layer. You can even tear it. It doesn't even have to be cut because you want it to end up being like a little cake. You can do this in any kind of a dish. Just remember that the bottom, when you turn it out, becomes the top. So choose something that'll look nice that way. This is gonna be fantastic. I'm just gonna keep going. So I'm just layering fruit and bread all the way to the top of the dish. And a final layer of fruit and syrup using every last drop. With the pudding assembled, I'll cover it loosely with plastic wrap. Put a plate on top, approximately the same diameter as the inside of the dish. Weigh it down with a heavy can to compress the layers, and put it in the fridge to chill overnight. That just just want to show you the inside of this. It's incredible. Just cut it like a cake. Wow, love this. It's a great summer dessert. Isn't that fantastic?
I'm making the epitome of sweet and fresh, a mixed berry crumble. In this bowl, I'm gonna make my crumble. I'm gonna use 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/3 cup of light brown sugar, and I'm also gonna use 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Light brown sugar has more of that molasses flavor, so you kinda get the best of both worlds. You get some molasses and you get tons of sweet. 2/3 cup of old-fashioned rolled oats. Mix it up. What I'm gonna do is just basically macerate some berries and put this crumble on top. So the crumble is kind of like a streusel. You know, it's like sugar, it's flour, it's butter, and it has a little texture because of these oats. All right, we use a pinch of salt, about 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Give it a mix. Now this is what makes a crumble, the butter. So this is very, very cold, unsalted butter. And what I like to do is just use my hands, almost like if you've ever made biscuits before. You break it down with your hands until the butter kind of turns into like a pea size. That's what makes a crumble a really great crumble, is when you get those, big chunks of like oats and sugar, delicious. So I'm just breaking down my butter, making sure that my mixture is nice and moistened. All right. So I've got my ramekins here and my mixed berries. I have some strawberries, some blackberries, and raspberries. I'm gonna macerate these berries. That's basically just bringing out the natural sweetness with a little lemon juice. I'm also gonna use the zest of a lemon as well to really brighten up this dish. I'm going to use the juice of 1/2 of this lemon and 2/3 cup of granulated sugar. As it bakes, all of this juice is gonna come out of the berries, and it's gonna make that sauce. That's what I love about a crumble. I do love the berries, don't get me wrong, but that juice and that crumble, heaven. As the lemon juice kind of gets into those berries, as you see, that juice is starting to come out. That's what macerating is all about. So I'm adding 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to make that sauce. Mix it up with that cornstarch, the lemon juice, sugar, and berries. And I've sprayed each ramekin with some nonstick spray so the fruit does not stick to the bottom of it. All right, I'm going to evenly divide the berries into each of these ramekins. And if you don't have ramekins at home, you can use like a casserole dish or a cast iron skillet. I'm not filling this all the way to the top. What I like to do is come just to that first line, but if you want to see like that oozing out and that bubbly stuff on top, then you can fill it all the way up to the top. But I like to leave enough room for the crumble. All right, last but not least, that crumble. My favorite part of a mixed berry crumble or crumble of any sort is the crumble. Once that crumble hits that juice, woo-wee. And then it's nice and hot and you put a little ice cream on top. My gosh, oh yeah. I have my oven preheated to 350. I'm gonna bake these off for about an hour. All right, look at that. So pretty. I'm good to go.
Oh, this looks so good.
Oh my God.
Now, strawberry ice cream happens to be one of my favorite homemade flavors. It's so delicious. Now, the ice cream starts with a basic custard, and I use the same recipe no matter what kind of ice cream I'm making. I'll start by pouring 3 cups of 1/2 and 1/2 into a saucepan. And then I'll add 2 cups of sugar. Is it any wonder homemade ice cream is so delicious? Now, I'll turn on the heat, and I'll just stir this to get the heat going. And while that warms up, I've got a vanilla bean. Vanilla bean is something I always add to homemade ice cream. It adds just amazing flavor. It is one of my go-to ingredients, and it goes right into the 1/2 and 1/2 and sugar mixture. Now, I'll just stir this until it gets really, really hot before I move on. I have 9 egg yolks, and I whisked them just for a few minutes until they were nice and light yellow. That's the perfect color. Now, I'm gonna temper these egg yolks. I'll take a ladle of the hot mixture, and while I whisk the yolks, I'll just gradually drizzle it in really, really slowly. We all know what happens if we add eggs to really hot liquid, so tempering the yolks just slowly brings them up to temperature. The bowl feels warm, and that's perfect. So now I can just pour it right in without any fear. Nobody should make ice cream with fear. Now I'm just gonna slowly cook this for a few minutes. So when it's thick enough to coat the spoon, it's done. Then it just gets poured through a fine mesh strainer into a pitcher. And this is where things get even better. 3 cups of heavy cream. It just gets added to the custard and stirred in. And that's the custard all done. Now it just needs to go into the fridge for a couple of hours. Now I've got to turn this into strawberry ice cream, and I'll do that by making a strawberry puree. I've just got a good amount of whole strawberries, and I'll add a little bit of sugar, just about 2 tablespoons or so. The custard is pretty sweet, so the strawberries don't need much. Now I'll just get the lid on, let the blender go. Just pour it in and swirl it around. I love it when it looks like a pink and yellow marble. Oh gosh, it's so pretty. Now I'll let the ice cream maker do the really hard part. I'll just pour in about half of this. This maker freezes about half of this quantity at a time. But that's okay, it is totally worth the wait. Get the lid on. Now it's just about patience. My machine takes about an hour to turn the custard into ice cream. Then it's just a matter of getting it into a freezer-safe container, covering it, and putting it into the freezer for a few hours until it's frozen. Oh, how pretty is this? I cannot wait another second. I'm gonna dig in. Do me a favor, don't tell my kids this is in the freezer. Let's just keep it between us. So good.
I know I have a reputation for starting every recipe with a pound of butter, but this one's actually a lemon cake that's made with yogurt and vegetable oil, so it's even good for you, and it's delicious. So I'm gonna start with the dry ingredients. 1½ cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and ½ teaspoon of salt. Just sift those together. Okay, I need 1 cup of yogurt. I use whole milk yogurt. I think it gives a good flavor. Okay, 1 cup of sugar. You can make it without butter, but not without sugar. Okay, 3 extra large eggs. I always use room temperature eggs when I'm baking. Really makes the cakes lighter. ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract. Two teaspoons of lemon zest. That's actually about the zest of 1 lemon. Just right into the bowl. This is what gives it all its flavor. I actually think the zest has more flavor than the juice, so whenever I make something with lemon, I always put the zest in. Smells good already. And then later I'm going to use the juice and make a syrup, a lemon syrup for it. That's about 2 teaspoons. Okay, I'm just going to whisk it all together. Okay, I'm just going to take the dry ingredients, whisk them in. I'm just going to toss them with my hand, make sure they're well mixed, and just slowly whisk them in. Next thing I need is ½ cup of vegetable oil. It's a flavorless oil. Just stir it in. I've greased and floured a loaf pan. Just pour this right in. That was a pretty easy cake, wasn't it? So the lemon yogurt cake is out of the oven, and while it cools, I'm gonna make a lemon syrup. Just pour over it, make it even better. So I need 1/3 cup of lemon juice. I'm just gonna heat it up with 1/3 cup of sugar. I'm just gonna let that come to a boil until it becomes just very clear. Okay, this is perfect. Sugar's dissolved. And I'm just gonna spoon it right over the cake. And then what it does is it just soaks right into the cake, keeps it really moist. It has lots of great lemon flavor.